Hello everybody, I'm going to take some time today to address some of the questions that have been asked of me since making my previous two videos. A lot of this took place on the city's Facebook page, and a lot of people have spoken to me in person. So I'd just like to address some of the issues people seem to have brought up with me in my videos. First of all, some people seem to think that I just like to attack other people and offer no real solutions to any problems. Also, what seems to make me think that I'm so qualified as to cast judgment on the mayor and the council. And if I seem to think that I can do a better job, then why didn't I run? Or in turn, why am I not running this year? Well, for starters, let's take a look at how this happened. How'd the town end up this way in the first place, in this total chaos of disarray? Well, after the market crash in, 2007, 2008, depending when it affected you, the old mayor that was in office at the time understood about maintenance and infrastructure and how to take care of those kind of things. So those things were being done. But he didn't necessarily understand what it would take to rebuild after this crash. Like modernizing systems and streamlining some of the things that were being done within the city, whatever they would be at the time. To be honest, I was not here. He also didn't understand things like government grants that you could get from the federal government to help to rebuild your small towns. These small towns took a huge hit. They really did. It affected everybody worldwide, but it disproportionately affected small towns like this. Now, personally, I don't feel like it was necessarily his fault. After all, he didn't create the crash, right? And he does admit, I've spoke to him, and he does admit that, yeah, that's a pretty good assessment, that he understands all the maintenance stuff, but maybe he's not up to date on the most modern technologies that could help to streamline things, and certainly didn't understand how to go about getting federal grants. So credit to him. It's good. That's a really good thing. He admits that, maybe he doesn't know everything. I think that's a pretty good quality in a mayor, to admit he doesn't know everything, because how else are you going to ask for some help from people that may possibly know better? Or even just simply have the time or capabilities of helping you to achieve some goals that you set for yourself. Well, so instead of working with him in order to try to make things better, people just went after him, labeled him, attacked him, and removed him from office. These people, once they got into power, didn't really seem to implement any positive changes, and power struggle ensued. The fighting continued, and it made everything worse as opposed to better. So, some say sounds like you're doing the same thing. Yeah, not quite. See, last year with the previous mayor, Mickey, I was working with Mickey to help to streamline some processes and to get things done a little bit more efficiently. When the council got Mickey out by force, they didn't want anything to do with me. Can't really blame them. I didn't really feel too much like working with them either. However, had they asked for the benefit of, the people who live here and the town just generally not being a dump, I would have helped. I would have set aside my differences and helped them out. But they didn't have any interest in that, and to be honest, that's fine. It probably wouldn't have ended the best anyways. So why didn't I run this year? Well, after recognizing the ongoing power struggle, do you really think that it would have made anything better for me to be running against other people that wanted to run? I recognize this. And I figured that working with PJ and the new council would be better than competing with them. Yeah, my mistake. I can admit when I'm wrong too. Obviously, I was wrong. I did work with them in City Hall to begin with. I was working on the computer systems. I got the digital sign back up and running. I was helping him even to set up his office inside City Hall. And at the request of the clerks, I was helping him out. They were even very interested in me implementing some of the systems that I had informed him exist and that I was capable of putting them into place. Well, it didn't last very long. BJ had a big old ego trip and tried to run my wife and I over with a car, with the city truck, in fact. Apparently something he has a history of, kind of his go-to. So I stepped away and took care of my family. Well, then comes what makes me so qualified to think that I'm so much better or I could do a better job than him. To start with, at the very least, at least I'm not a criminal. I mean, if you can't take care of simple things like following the law, how could you be expected to, implement them and enforce them? It seems to be on his comprehension, or at least he definitely feels above the law, and they don't seem to apply to him. He has a pattern of behavior. It seems like a lifelong achievement for him to be an ongoing criminal. He doesn't even seem to really try to hide it. Well, for two, a little bit of my background. All right, where do I come from, right? Because I'm not from here. Well, after having 20 years of large-scale project management experience with the biggest and most powerful companies in the world, including aerospace industry, military, and government, for which I had to obtain high levels of credentials and security clearances for every branch of the military and government, including TSA, Department of Homeland Security, and even up to the White House. So yeah, I have some experience in, management, which is essentially what the mayor and city council are doing. So, well, if that's the case, and you have all of this, then why am I here? Family. Why did I give up sunny days and beaches in California and a career that I worked so hard to build? I did because I wanted my children to know their grandparents and to be around their grandparents and their uncles and aunts and cousins that moved here over 20 years ago in the late 90s. And their grandmother that has lived here for over 30 years, who moved here to follow her parents nearly 40 years ago. So while it's true I am not from here, 5 generations of my family have lived in this small town. So I have been here to see the town change over time, and sadly, mostly not for the better. I understand that the town at one time was a lot better than this. And I made some observations to be able to see why. Why did it turn out like this? So, what solutions have I offered to them? Right? You're just going to complain. All you do is just poke fun and be mean, and I'm so cruel, right? Because I didn't go around posting up signs stating what kind of solutions I had for some of the problems. And so that suddenly means that I just talk trash and I don't offer any kind of solution. That's far from the truth. Some of the solutions that I offered up was, build a city webpage that provides services to the public as well as City Hall. Not just like Facebook and a social media platform. All of that stuff's fine, and they should have that, and it should be run really, realistically, the way it is. You don't have to like it, but, it provides for free speech. It wouldn't be controlled and dictated by a government entity. Having private individuals doing that amongst themselves allows them to vent about things to do with the city council and the mayor and the government and governance without the government actually having any involvement in it. And you can have your political views on Facebook and other social media platforms. They're not perfect either, and don't make believe that I'm defending or even attacking them. Okay, they have their place in this world and they can be used as such. What I was more suggesting, because of my background working in IT and working with large companies and how they implement things, was an actual, real website. Most cities have these, and they provide a lot of use, both to the public and to the government, right? You can use them to make announcement, provide statistics for the community events. You can have, people putting stuff up for sale, things like that you'd have used to have in newspapers and stuff like that. These are the kind of things that are done on these city web pages all over the place. We also suggested that we could have user accounts, right? Where people could actually log in and get to information that is more pertinent to them, their own information. We could have links on there, external links to municipalities and this, city services, along with, family services programs that are provided by, a lot of the churches for this area, a lot of the churches around here, private organizations, nonprofits, even, the state, county, and federal government public assistance programs to families. This is, this is a small, simple town in a low-income area, and there's a lot of programs that people around here really do rely on. And we could help them to be able to access these things through a web page that they would also be using to be able to look at their, water bill and local things, and help them to simplify it. It would provide that kind of public service. It could implement things for the city to be able to run more efficiently. As an example, what I had done or started to do while working with Mickey was that there's a lot of issues when it comes to reading the water meters, right? Because that's one of the things that the city has to do and, turn over to get the water bills out to the people. So it turns out that for the most part, they don't know where these water meters are. The old mayor was saying it for so long that most people have no idea where they are. Even some people don't know where they are on their property. And in some cases, the water meters are literally across the street or far behind their property or on another property altogether. So what I did was I went around with the old mayor and went and knelt down on every single one of these water meters and marked it on Google Maps, right? And then I started to implement a system. And the way the system would work is that I could put a camera on whatever that little stick is that they use for the water meter. I'm not a professional water meter reader. I should know what it's called, fair enough, but I'm not sure what it's called. The little stick that you use to open up the water meter and you use it to turn on and off the valve. Well, what I had suggested and we were trying to implement was that I could use these drop geotags that I had created within Google Maps on the phone, and we could put them out on the phone or mount for the phone on this little stick, and then have a enduroscope camera. This is like a pin camera on a wire. You'd use it for, like putting down your drain if you need to see in a drain or in small places. Same kind of thing. They stick in your ear, to see in your ear at the doctor's office or something like that. They're waterproof, so if the, water meter is filled with water, and instead of going and having to get a pump to pump the water out, you could just stick it down in there. Well, you'd be able to scan the numbers with your phone in the same way that when you put your camera onto a document, it recognizes that it's a document and wants to scan it as opposed to just take a picture. It'll do that, and it would be a little bit more clear and less likely for error than if the meter reader is trying to get down in a hole that's dirty and full of water and everything and trying to write it down. So, as opposed to confusing an 8 with a 0 when he writes it down. Well, on the other end of this would setting it up so that as soon as he got this device, it would be, a city device, the phone or tablet being, as soon as he got to that tag location, it would recognize what he's doing, and it would open up essentially an Excel spreadsheet that would be the given information for, who the water meter belongs to and stuff like that. And it would automatically fill that information into this Excel spreadsheet, right? That would be seen in real time by the clerk at City Hall. If this system was implemented and put together in the right way, it would actually go into the system and automatically populate within the user accounts for the individuals what their meter reader had read. in real time, and they'd be able to, if they felt there was a discrepancy, be able to address that with the city prior to their bill actually being released. It could also automatically copy over this information into other facets, like the documentation that the city clerk turns over to the actual water company, right? And so it can automatically populate to different kind of areas, including a database and their own personal records for the city hall in order to keep track of all of this information. Seems like a pretty useful thing to me, right? I didn't come up with these ideas. Don't get me wrong, right? I didn't make these programs. In most cases, there's a lot of free solutions to do these kind of things. They're not new. I didn't come up with them. I'm not claiming to have. These things are implemented by municipalities all over the country, all over the world. Those are streamlining kind of processes that are implemented by virtually every company in the world, and most certainly all of the ones I've worked with. So don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to stake claim that, I had this epiphany and created. No, I didn't. It's just because I worked in IT and I worked in project management, streamlining things is a common practice. This is what you always want to do. Being able to alleviate the error between the meter reader writing down and misreading the meter, and then an error where his writing's jumbled, and then that document has to go over in paper form and be given to the clerk, and then the clerk misreads his 8 for his 0 and then types that in wrong, and they keep having to repeat the same amount of information, the same exact duplicates over and over again. It would just streamline it and then give the meter reader, the maintenance guy, more time freed up to be able to do other important things, right? It just creates a bit of efficiency there. And this could be all done and built, and I volunteered to do it. I was name paid to do this. This isn't something like that, I felt it fine. Well, I started implementing it with last year's mayor, and upon being asked by the clerks this year for help, I actually went in and they agreed they wanted to do this. And so unfortunately it didn't work out. I would say, for those of you that hate me, you don't even know me. And I suspect that if you set aside your preconceived notions and biases, you may find we actually agree on more than you think. If not, oh well. At least rise above taking pop shots at my wife. That'll be a good start for a lot of you out there. That's pretty disgraceful. If your argument falls apart in a debate, you don't just start attacking people and their family. That's not really how that works. Sometimes concede the notion, or as your mother and grandmother said, if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say anything at all, right? I mean, it's just a common courtesy. Don't attack people's families over a disagreement with them. Feel free to attack me all you want, right? I'm pretty bold, pretty harsh, make these outlandish statements and accusations and put up YouTube videos calling the mayor a deadbeat dad and a criminal and all of that. And I stand by that, and you can disagree with that. You can hate me for it. I'm fine. You can take pop shots at me. I'm fine with that. But, geez, at least rise above taking pop shots at my family, all right? Don't drive by my house. I can see you on my cameras, all right? Don't drive by my house. Don't try to intimidate my family because you don't like what I'm saying politically, right? That's not how it should be. Rise above that, especially if you're a city council member or a mayor, or I don't know, the boyfriend of a mayor. Just try to be a little bit more grown up about the situation. In closing, hey, this isn't a campaign speech. I'm not running. In fact, today I think was the last day to register. I didn't register to run. I'm not running for office. Nor do I have any plans to do so in the future, okay? That's not what this is about. Believe it or not, I just want this place to be better for the sake of my kids and yours. And maybe a little bit because I like to debate and think I'm, you know, pretty good at it. Well, for now, at least for now, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching.